Hi, I'm Jay Gruenke, founder of the Balanced Runner System. I've been helping runners from beginner to Olympian improve their form and performance since 2003. And I'm here today with another stuck-at-home running form tip from my living room to yours, helping you use this time as an opportunity to become a better runner. And I'm talking more about breathing today and the right head position to help you breathe easier. And this is important to talk about because a lot of people will say that you should run upright, should avoid moving your head forward, to keep yourself really upright so that you can keep your chest open so you can breathe easier. And well, I've already talked about the fallacy involved in an open chest, keeping an open chest and easier breathing. There's a way in which it's helpful, but it's not because you breathe with your chest. And in fact, running upright and many of the things that you would do to actually lift your chest make breathing harder and running harder rather than easier. And of course, if running is harder, then you need more air and you need more oxygen to power you at any given speed. And so that's a double whammy, really. And this is why it's really important to look at this, at how good breathing and good running form fit together. And good running form is one of the sort of defining characteristics of good running form is that it improves your breathing. And also, it's running a lot easier and again, should lower your heart rate and lower your oxygen needs at any given speed compared to other things, other kinds of running form. So head position is a really key element here. So instead of, as I said, this common recommendation to keep your head up and to run and keep your chest open for good breathing. Well, we know chest breathing is not actually good breathing. The chest does need to be able to move, and the sternum needs to be in the right position, and the ribs need to be mobile, but it's your diaphragm that's really critical for good breathing. So for a much better breathing, you need to actually move your head forward in the movement that I call face forward. So this movement. So when you're leaning forward, which you should be when you run, your head is not like this and it's not like this, it's like this. So your skull actually moves in your atlas vertebra, your spine is tilted forward on a forward angle, and then this movement of your skull and your atlas vertebra allows you to keep your head level instead of, if you kept your head in line with your spine the same way it is when you stand, then when you leaned forward, you would be looking down. But you actually want to be here. And so again, that's not a bending of the neck or a compression of anything in the back. It's just an adjustment of the head, the same kind of movement that you make when you want to give somebody a kiss. There are 3 reasons why that helps your breathing. The first is that it actually opens your airway. So this movement of your head, even when standing like this, moves your tongue and your jaw farther away from your airway, and it makes it more open. So if you've ever been trained in CPR, you know that the first step for giving rescue breathing is to open the airway. And you know, I always have done my training through American Heart Association, and the way that they used to train you to shift, to actually do that movement with the head when a person's lying on their back, in order to open the airway, in order to do the breathing. But then they shifted to just moving the jaw forward, because if the person had any sort of head or neck injury, then moving the head could create more danger there. But I shouldn't be your source for CPR training. But either way, before you even try and blow in somebody's mouth to give them air, and to start getting oxygen into their bloodstream, you have to open their airway. So open your own airway. For standing, this is fine. If, however, your airway is narrow, you're having trouble breathing, that's one of the things that makes people stand with a forward head posture, because you're actually getting your head into this position where you get more air. The only problem is for standing and for sitting, it also pushes down your chest. And worsens your the rest of your mechanics for breathing. So it's not a great trade-off. But again, for running, you're leaning forward and your head should be in this position. And your oxygen needs are higher, obviously, in running than they are in just standing. So it makes sense, right? So make this movement of sliding your head forward. And your airway will be more open regardless of whether you're breathing through your nose or your mouth, because whichever place the air is coming in, it needs to pass through here. And that's the part that you're opening up by moving your head, you're moving your face forward. So the second reason that with a forward lean, moving your face forward improves your breathing is that you are, assuming you're not on a treadmill, but you're running on solid ground, you're overcoming air resistance when you are running. So you have to push the air aside. You don't really feel it because you're so used to that always being there. And that is easier to do when you're leaning forward. Because you have experienced this phenomenon when you've run into a stiff wind coming right at you, or even walking. If it's a really strong wind, you have to lean into it, right? So when you're running, even if there's not a headwind, you still lean forward a little bit to overcome that air resistance. And I've done a zillion videos on your forward lean, and I'll link to them in the description below for you to learn more about that. But if you are not leaning forward when you're running, if you're running upright and doing that thing where your head is up and you're opening your chest, then the air is pushing your head back. And you have to fire, and your upper body backwards, and you have to actually fire muscles on the front of your body to push against that air so that you just don't fall backwards, which you're not going to do, right? So you do that extra bit of muscle activation in order to keep running. And those muscles include the sternocleidomastoid, the scalene, so muscles that run from the upper chest into the head, to the skull. So that you can keep pulling your head forward. And, so many muscles that are all in the vicinity of my microphone, which I'm going to keep bumping with my hands. Your pectorals, your intercostals, your rectus abdominis, even obliques, all of them are doing extra work to pull you together in front, because in the face of you being pushed back by the wind. And all of those muscles also, the pulling down that you do in here makes it harder for your diaphragm to work. And the pulling up that you do up here, the muscles that are pulling down on your head, when they shorten, they lift your chest, and they bring your skull and your chest closer together, right? So they bring your skull forward, but they're also pulling upwards on your chest. And so what does that pattern do but bias you to chest breathing, which, as I explained at the beginning of this breathing video series, gives you much less oxygen than properly using your diaphragm. When you're breathing really hard, everything is going to be moving. That's not wrong. But to be lifting your chest instead of using your diaphragm leaves you with, you're not getting the oxygen that you need. So if, again, being upright and having your head lifted and your chest open is going to set up chest breathing for that reason. Moving your face forward and having a forward lean is going to let all of these muscles work a lot less, and you'll be easier to breathe diaphragmatically. And I have also talked about that in one of my earlier breathing videos. So there are a lot of videos to link to from this. And if anything that I'm saying is confusing to you, then be sure to look at the other related videos. And then finally, overall, and for a multitude of reasons, moving your face forward and leaning forward when you run is better running form overall. And as I said, that means that your running is easier and your oxygen need is less at any given speed. And so that relieves some of the pressure on your breathing from the other end. You just need less. In addition to, you can also breathe better. And so when your form comes more into this constellation of movements, your breathing problems will really improve. And, and I've seen it a million times with my clients. As I said at the beginning of this breathing series of videos, for the longest time in working with clients on their running form, I didn't even have to think about breathing, even if people came to me saying that their breathing was difficult. It was one of their difficulties and one of their limiting factors in performance. Because when we improved their form overall, the breathing just got better so that they weren't struggling with it or thinking about it anymore. And so it's only in recent years that I've really delved into it so that I can help those extra few runners who need additional help with their breathing. Give this a try. I'm putting a resource for you in the description below. One of my best free lessons to help you learn this coordination. But there are a lot of pieces to making it easy. So, this will get you started. But it's probably only the start of your learning process if you find that it's not easy for you to lean forward and to move your head forward in running. For a lot of people, it is already easy to move the head forward in running. They've just been trying to stop it from happening because so many people say that you shouldn't do it, but it's necessary. So thank you so much for watching. I see I've got a question, but just before I get to that, let me say, if you found this video valuable, please hit like so YouTube knows to share it with other runners who need this information. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please hit subscribe and the bell so that you get notifications of new videos and you don't miss a single one. And please check out all the great resources that I have for you on balancedrunner.com. And so Adelina says, I've read in some place that the position is also good to swallow pills when we have difficulties to do so. Now makes more sense to me. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, why do people... typical is to throw your head backwards when you want to swallow pills. And partially that's to get the pill back so that it's ready to go down. But it also, even just standing like that, it also opens the throat. It just makes more space in here. So yeah, exactly. All right. So we'll finish here. Thanks again so much for watching, and I will see you again tomorrow.